A team of archaeologists at the University of Oregon have found one of North America's oldest human-occupied sites in southern Oregon.
A group of archaeologists from the University of Oregon has uncovered what may be one of the oldest human-occupied sites ever found in North America, hidden in the high desert of southern Oregon. What started as a routine excavation has exploded into a discovery that could push back the timeline of the first Americans by thousands of years. At the center of the buzz is a modest rock shelter that most people would walk past without a second glance. But this unassuming site was sealed and preserved by volcanic ash from an eruption of Mount St. Helens more than 15,000 years ago. During their first excavations, researchers identified a distinct ash layer dated to about 15,800 years ago. Beneath that layer, they uncovered fragments of a camel tooth. And below that, clear signs that humans have been hunting giant camels and bison long before history books say they were even there. Even more surprising, the stone tools discovered at the site were made from material not native to the immediate area. That means these ancient people were either traveling vast distances or trading with other groups. And what researchers are now finding in the deepest layers could completely transform the story of human arrival in the Americas. The site is called Rimrock Draw. It's a shallow rock shelter in a remote stretch of Oregon. For decades, archaeologists assumed this region was uninhabitable during the height of the last ice age. Too cold, too dry, too hostile for human survival. According to the long-standing theory, no one lived here that early. But the ground told a different story. When excavation began, the team wasn't even searching for evidence of humans. Their original goal was to study ancient animal remains and reconstruct past environments. It was supposed to be a straightforward scientific project. Yet almost immediately, something felt different. Unlike most open shelters, where wind, rain, and burrowing animals mix everything together, the soil at Rimrock Draw was perfectly layered. The sediment bands were flat, clean, and undisturbed, like the untouched pages of a book. Dark layers marked periods of activity. Lighter layers showed stretches of abandonment. Each band sat exactly where it formed thousands of years ago. That kind of preservation is incredibly rare in archaeology. It meant that anything discovered was still in its original place. There was no possibility that tools or bones had slipped down from later layers. As the team dug deeper, they began finding stone tools. Not random rocks, but carefully crafted scrapers shaped with precision. What made it even more remarkable was that similar tools appeared in multiple layers separated by long spans of time. This wasn't a one-time visit. People returned to this shelter again and again. That realization alone challenged conventional history. According to older models, humans weren't supposed to be in this part of North America yet. The region was believed to be a frozen wasteland. And yet, the tools showed clear evidence of skilled inhabitants who understood exactly how to survive there. Then came the ash layer, the scientific timestamp. The volcanic ash from Mount St. Helens formed a solid, undisturbed blanket over the site. In archaeology, that kind of layer acts as a chronological boundary. Anything beneath it must be older than the eruption itself. The ash at Rimrock Draw was intact, sealing the artifacts and bones below like a time capsule. This placed the human activity at the site well before the famous Clovis culture, long considered the earliest people in the Americas around 13,000 years ago. The team understood the implications immediately. For decades, claims of pre-Clovis sites were often dismissed or heavily criticized. But Rimrock Draw was different. The geological context was pristine. The evidence was locked in place. Every inch of the excavation was meticulously documented before any announcement was made. Some researchers even began whispering about ghost populations, early groups of humans who may have arrived so long ago that they left no direct descendants. If people were in Oregon 18,000 years ago, how did they get there? During that time, ice sheets in parts of North America were nearly 2 miles thick. There was no inland corridor to walk through. The continent was locked in ice. The deeper the excavation went, the more radical the possibilities became. some scientists began considering whether humans could have been present 20,000, even 30,000 years ago. It sounds unbelievable, but the stratigraphy does not lie. The lowest tools looked different from the classic spear points found at other early sites. They were simpler in appearance, but highly functional. This hinted at a distinct culture, one we may have never fully recognized before. Then came the discovery that changed everything: the camel tooth. The tooth belonged to an extinct species called camelops, a massive Ice Age camel that stood nearly 7 feet tall. These animals once roamed North America, but they were believed to have vanished before humans reached that region. The tooth was found deep below the volcanic ash layer. That meant it dated back far beyond 15,000 years. But the position of the bones told an even more dramatic story. They were clustered tightly together rather than scattered randomly, suggesting a butchering site rather than a natural death. When scientists examined the bones under magnification, they found unmistakable cut marks. These weren't scratches from scavengers or erosion. They were clean, straight incisions in the precise spots where meat is separated from bone, the exact kind of marks left by stone tools. Every test confirmed it. Humans had butchered that camel. To determine the age, researchers performed radiocarbon dating on the enamel of the tooth. The results stunned them. The camel remains were approximately 18,250 years old. That date alone shattered the Clovis first model. Humans were clearly present in Oregon thousands of years earlier than previously accepted. And the camel wasn't the only animal uncovered. The site also yielded evidence of giant bison and other now extinct Ice Age species. Microscopic residue tests on the stone tools detected biological traces from Bison antiquus, a massive ancient bison far larger than modern species. The scrapers themselves were crafted from a striking orange agate, not found locally. This means the stone had been transported from far away or obtained through trade. These were not isolated wanderers scraping by. They were organized, skilled, and possibly connected to broader networks. Under microscopes, the edges of the tools revealed were patterns identical to experimental tools used to butcher animals. Tiny chips, smoothing, and protein residues confirmed prolonged use. This was molecular-level proof. The tools, the animals, and the humans were all linked in one moment frozen in time. But perhaps the most disruptive implication involves migration routes. For generations, the dominant theory held that the first Americans crossed from Siberia into Alaska through an ice-free corridor around 13,000 years ago. Yet geological data shows that corridor was completely blocked by massive ice sheets 18,000 years ago. In other words, the inland route didn't exist when these Oregon hunters were alive. This forces a different explanation: a Pacific coastal migration. Even during peak glaciation, portions of the coastline remained navigable. Rich kelp forests provided food. Small watercraft could have allowed early people to travel south along the shore, what researchers call the Kelp Highway. As sea levels rose after the Ice Age, many coastal sites would have been submerged. Rimrock Draw survived because it sits high and inland, preserving evidence that coastal settlements may have lost. And the story might go even deeper. Below the camel layer are even older sediments containing additional stone flakes. These lower layers have not yet been fully dated. But in archaeology, deeper means older. The team has not reached bedrock. Excavation is slow, expensive, and irreversible. Every grain of ash is recorded carefully to preserve context. Some of the deepest tools resemble those found above, suggesting long-term cultural continuity. If those layers push dates back to 20,000 years or beyond, it would dramatically reshape the timeline of human history in North America. There are even controversial theories suggesting humans may have reached the Americas far earlier than currently accepted. While most scientists remain cautious, discoveries like Rimrock Draw continue moving the timeline backward. The volcanic ash acted as a perfect protective seal. Without that eruption of Mount St. Helens, this entire chapter of history might have been erased. Now the questions are bigger than ever. Were humans in Oregon earlier than 18,000 years ago? Did they arrive by sea? Were there multiple migrations over thousands of years instead of one single wave? The dirt at Rimrock Draw is still holding secrets. And somewhere beneath those layers could be evidence that rewrites everything we thought we knew about the first Americans.